Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Bream Fishing Project. This is the Atomic Tournament Series Round 1, which was held on Lake Macquarie the 14th and 15th of March. It's an absolutely cracking episode with 3 really good stories that kind of blend together in a lot of ways. I think you're going to enjoy it. Sponsor Karma, with the round sponsor being Samaki. You're going to hear how that played out as well. All right, let's roll the intros. There's a bit to get through before we get into the angler interviews. Here we go.
Welcome to the Bream Fishing Project. This is where you need to be every Tuesday to find out all the latest tips and tricks to help you target bream on lures. You'll get to hear from some of Australia's elite bream competition anglers and see how they were able to achieve their results in competitions around the country. Now, here is your host, the 2019 Hobie Kayak Fishing World Champion, Andrew Deeth.
Alrighty, so there's a bit to get through with this one. So what I might do is just run through the bite periods and what have you, and then we'll get into the angler interviews. Okay, so for this one, we had just 39 in the fish activity wheel for the Saturday, with the major bite period in the start of the session at 7:44 through to 10:14 a.m. High tide was at 5:57 at 0.86, so a bit of a low high tide, and running down to a low tide at just after 1 at 1:08 at 0.24. Sunday, slightly better in the fish activity wheel, with 51 with the major bite period at 8:33 through to 11:03. High tide was at 6:50 a.m. at 0.92, running down to a low tide at 1:49 p.m. at 0.02. Okay, so Grant has put together some stats on this one, which is pretty cool. So day one, they had 171 fish caught with a total weight of 106.6. The average fish weight was 623 grams with an average bag weight of 3.117. Day 2 was slightly less, but the fish size was definitely a little bit down. So 165 fish caught, bag weight of 87.24, and an average fish weight of 528. So nearly 100 grams less on day 2, which I think is pretty interesting. Then the average bag weight was 2.644. Over the course of the 2 days, there was 7 fish weighed in for big bream, with the biggest going 1.38. And if you look back a few years, a 6 kilo 2-day average gets you in the money. Now you need 5.76 just to be average, and the winning bag going just over 9 kilos, so an average of 900 grams per fish. All right, so that's it. Let's run through. Let's get straight into the angler interviews. Here we go. Okay, so first up in third place, we have the Bream brothers. So they dropped their fish weighing 3.58 on the Saturday, backing it up on the Sunday with 3.33, giving them a total of 6.91. I'd like to welcome back to the Bream Fishing Project, Aaron Clifton and Simon Moore. Welcome, guys.
Hey, Matt. Thanks for having us.
No worries at all. So this is a good start to the season for you guys, a third place, and yeah, good kickoff in Lake Mac.
Definitely. Take that.
Absolutely. Let's just move into pre-fishing. What do you guys get up to in terms of getting ready for this comp?
I don't think we'd fished Lake Macquarie since the New South Wales Tournament Series comp last year, so hadn't done too much homework on the system, but we always enjoy fishing the flats together, and so I think that the plan first up on the pre-fish was to go and fish the flats just out the front of Swansea. We knew that the weather over the 3 days was going to be vastly different, and that was spot on. Friday was a really strong southerly. I think we took the advantage of that and hit the flats early before it was too strong. And then we sort of moved around to a few spots from there as the wind started to pick up a bit more.
Right. And what's your go-to on the flats? You guys plastics or hard bodies or?
Both.
Both.
Yeah, we mix it up, mate, just to see what's working on the day. And I think on the pre-fish it was both it was producing, so it didn't help much, but didn't narrow it down, but it gives you an options.
Gives you an option, but up there, I like in history would tell me that black cranks are pretty good. And I assume that like you're throwing sprats, or I can't remember what you guys do. Yeah.
Yeah. Those is.
I think we had them both tied on, just rotating between the black chubbies and the sprats. And I think on the pre-fish, we got 4 bream pretty quickly. It always happens on a pre-fish. You always sort of find them pretty quick. And I think we did half a drift before the wind had even picked up. So the conditions weren't ideal, but they were good enough to get a few fish. And we thought, right, well, they're here. Let's look around. And so we sort of started to make our way further north. We haven't fished north at Swansea too much, so we made our way up towards Warners Bay and had a bit of a poke around there at the northern end just to see whether that was going to be a good move to make on day one.
Yeah, okay. And how'd that go? Like, because with the southerly blowing in that direction, I would have thought that might have been a good shout.
That was their game plan as well. It was great getting down there, mate. It was horrendous getting back, but that's okay.
Yeah, okay.
Definitely had fish there. There were schools of fish there. We found that they weren't shallow. They were probably a little bit more deeper. And again, pretty aggressive on the hit, but they were very silver, mate, like sea run. They looked really had teeth, all that, but they weren't any bigger than the ones we got. Better, healthier condition, more weight in them for their length, but they weren't the bigger models, I suppose, mate. So bag filler, definitely, and you could sort of go through the numbers and keep churning through it. But, yeah, it was sort of, I suppose that was our plan. At the end of the day, if we really need a bag filler, you'd spend half an hour driving, you get it relatively quickly and then leave them again. So,
yeah, which makes good sense.
Yeah.
All right. And was that it for your pre-fish, or did you just beat your way back up into the southerly and get home? Or
Well, sort of, yeah. We went up and so we fished a couple of different banks as well, just a whole exploration of that looks good, let's have a crack at it. Some worked, some didn't. But, yeah, it was more just I've never, ever been that part of the system anyhow. So, for me, it all looked kind of interesting and good and sort of rolled through. And as we came back, I still had a game plan and I wanted to try something prior to the comp just to see if it worked. We sort of got close to doing it. We went in there. It was messy. It was sloppy. We catch one of that as I can't even remember now, mate. So,
yeah, I think we lost a couple in the pre-fish.
So that's sort of worth the effort of going through the chop and doing the hard yards on it that we thought, well, they're there now, potentially change the wind direction, but they should be there on comp day as well if we need that spot as well. So,
okay. Very good. All right. Let's roll into comp day. Saturday morning comes, I think, like you said, the southerly probably backed right off. What do you guys get up to?
Well, I think when we left the ramp, we're heading across towards the start there. We launched at Swansea. It's just easy. And coming across out of the channel there at Swansea, you got the flats to your left and your right. We looked over there, and although it was dark, you could still see that there was still a pretty strong ripple on the water. And sitting there at the starting grid, just hoping that wind would hold on. And it was only when we took off and started to head south, and we looked over towards the flats, and there was still a slight ripple on the water, just enough to get the boat moving and to stir the water up a little bit. So I think it was really only then that we decided, okay, let's just go to the flats and see if we can put a couple in the well early just to get those confidence fish. And I think when we pulled up there was already 2 other boats that were on the flats and one followed us in. So there was 4 on there at the start. And we struggled. They definitely weren't as easy as what they were on the pre-fish, but there was a couple of boats around us, and sometimes that works in your favour. Sometimes it plays mind games with you.
Yeah.
And we got a bit of bycatch, but the other boats were boating a few fish here and there, and I think that was just enough for us to sort of persevere with it.
Sure.
Yeah. I think we eventually got our bag, didn't we, Simon? We
did, but we just took a fair bit longer than we pre-planned. Was sort of hit it, catch them and go.
Catch them and go.
Yeah, another hour skips by and you think, why are we still here? And what do we do? And start as the mind game starts playing on you.
It's interesting, isn't it? And do you guys work as a team? Like, do you jump like one on plastic, one on hard body, or?
Yeah, we pretty much. I mean, I'd love plastics, and Az probably loves hard bodies. So for us to be combined, it works. But we happen to have the same kind of gear in either. So if Aaron starts churning them over on the hard bodies, then I'll just grab the other rod, pick it up, and throw it out from that. So and vice versa. We've pretty much got very similar setups tied up on everything. It's just put rod A down and pick rod B up, and then try and get them whilst you click onto a small window that you think something's working. Jump on it as well and try and make the most of it.
Yeah, very good. And on the Saturday, did it end up being a plastics or a hard body bite?
Bit of both, mate, to be honest with you.
Yeah, okay.
I'd probably say over the whole weekend, probably hard bodies outfished plastics.
Mm-hmm.
But you just still couldn't put it down because when things got quiet on one, you'd put the other one up and you'd shoal on another fish over it. So you think, well, are they eating them now? So
yeah, right. And did you see, while you're up there, did you see any bait fish or any prawns flicking around?
Yeah, plenty of bait fish, yeah.
I threw out the double clutch there for a while. It's, you could see a lot of bait fish there, and I thought I'll try and imitate that. I just think there's some good tailor and salmon that were up in there, and maybe some kings as well, sort of smashing the bait fish. So, yeah, there was definitely a lot of action. And I think, there's a couple of times you always get those pike that hang around in those shallow weed flats. But I think there was a few bream that were following the tailor around as well, just trying to pick the scraps up off the bottom, as they smashed the bait fish. I think it was about 10 o'clock before we left the flats, which was probably an hour later than we wanted. But it got to that point where we thought, okay, we're not going to come back here again. It was starting to glass out. So we thought, well, let's try and get our bag of 5 before we leave the flats. And it was 10 o'clock when we left, and we just got our 5th bream. And I think those 5 bream, 3 of them were 27 tippers. So they just believed it.
Yeah, okay. But you got a bag. I mean, that's a good thing. And look, the reason I asked the question is I know in the Georges at the moment, so where I'll be in the middle of March, there's unusually big prawns down there. A lot of times you see little ones, like maybe 40 mil, but I'm seeing 60s and 70s being chased around on the top.
Yeah, right.
And I was just wondering if that was being replicated up on the northern systems.
Yeah, we threw around the Pro Lure hybrid shrimp. Yeah, I think the pre-fish on the flats there, Simon picked it up and had a couple of flicks and picked up a bream or 2. I think we threw it out on day 1 up on the flats there, but after that, we didn't sort of see too much action. Still winning that lure. I haven't thrown it around a lot, but I'm sure as we throw it around more, it'll become more of a confidence lure.
100%. All right. So obviously you leave the flats and you're chasing big fish. What'd you get up to? You must have upgraded somewhere there.
Yeah, so from the flats there, we sort of moved across towards the Bonnells Bay direction, and we sort of fished in that area in the pre-fish and knew that there was a few fish there. I think as we drove over towards Bonnells, there was a few boats that were coming out. Which again, play minds games. You don't know how long they've been there for. Have they flogged it? Have they got fish or not? Yeah, so we went in there, and typical. You pick up a flathead, you pick up a whiting, a trevally, a snapper, and everything else. But pretty quickly we got an upgrade of a bream. It wasn't a big one, beefy, but it doesn't take too much to upgrade a 27 tipper.
That's right.
Thought, we can get rid of those 3 27 tippers. That'll be good. And I think we ended up staying there all day.
Okay.
I think Simon, you were still throwing around the hurricane sprat.
Yep.
I had the hard body on, and just sort of the hard body seemed to be getting a bit more interest. And Simon loves his hurricanes, but when I'd sort of put a few more in with the deeper hard bodies, it became pretty clear that was what they were interested in.
Okay. So if you were on the Swansea Flats originally, you would have been like fishing, shallow water. Once you went down to Bonnells Bay, did you move into deeper water then?
Yeah, we done sort of a bit of both. We actually went shallow first when we came in there just to have a feel for it. And then the plan was to sort of methodically fish the 4 foot, fish the 8 foot, fish the 10 foot, fish the 15 on our way out, because that was sort of what was, even when we were in the pre-fish, they were sort of 15 foot, a little bit more, and they were still there. So we kind of thought if they're not shallow, we can then map them out deeper and map them out deeper and map them out deeper and chase their way back out. So, yeah, exactly that, mate. We pretty much went in shallow, a couple of boats in there. So we gave them a bit of room, worked on our own sort of turf for a while, started to get a few fish, and then sort of a few boats take off, a few boats come in, but also then was when that bite window shut or just slowed down, then we'd move back out again. 2 reasons. One, because we caught them there prior and we thought it was worth another crack, and then you would stay out there for another hour and fish that. Then you go a little bit further out where it would sort of drop off to the 12, 14, and you would get 1 or 2 there, and then you could kind of repeat the same process of it, chase it back in again. And it wasn't sort of, there was a lot of fish we caught, but there was just, you were just really, you're upgrading a centimetre here, you're upgrading a centimetre. Every so often you'd put a 37 tipper in there and you go with that. So for us, it was a 9 or 8 centimetre upgrade at the time, get rid of that one, this one up. So you would hang around that area for potentially another 20 minutes, half an hour, just in case he had a brother, and then go back and repeat the same process. A bit methodically, a bit boring if you want to do the sightseeing thing. It was just routinely sort of going over the numbers, I suppose.
Yeah. But obviously you've started with the bag and then upgraded throughout the day. So obviously worth the effort. How deep was the deep? Like what I'm interested in, obviously a plastic, you can let it sink to the bottom, but a hard body, if you're throwing them, then you've got to adjust to that somehow, to the deeper water.
We had sort of, I'll answer that one for you. There was a couple of drop-offs that we fished. Now, I wanted to go deep because I had the plastic on and I wanted to get it out there and bounce on the bottom, but as quite hitting the shallow banks with his hard body, so it was a bit of dilemma. When the wind was blowing one way, it kind of suited my style of fishing, and then when we went up on the bank, it would suit Az's more, so it was sort of I think whoever had control of the Minn Kota for a while used to hang around that area a little bit more, mate. So more the drop-off side because, yes, I could fish both. As was sort of that 9, 10 foot. We probably got him on 11, I suppose. As would have been the deepest, I reckon.
Yeah.
Hard body. So he wasn't hitting bottom, but he was obviously still within that half a metre range of it. And I suppose it attracted him still.
Yeah.
And that was just a deep chubby?
Yeah. Not just the chubbies, pro lures, hurricanes as well. Any of those deep chubby style lures was working. I think we had a couple of different colour patterns that we were rotating through as well. And I don't think there was one particular make or one particular colour that was working. I think it was the action and that vibration and that bit of a rattle is what was drawing them in. And what we noticed the difference on the flats, we were missing a lot of fish. There was a very subtle bite, but when we moved across into the second spot, they were hitting it hard. And time that you'd probably miss a fish is when they'd sort of crush the trebles and you'd bring it back in, scratching your head, saying, what did I do wrong there? I don't know how. Peel drag, and then you lift your lure out of the water and look at the back treble and it's squashed, and that was a good fish. That hurt.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. So from what I understand, you spent the rest of the day there, you mixed it up with plastics and hard bodies, and you ended up with, what did we say, 3.58?
358.
Yeah.
Where'd that have you guys overnight?
7th.
Okay. So still in touch, but a fair way off first place, I'd imagine. Kilo and a half.
A fair way off third place, to be honest with you. They're all full bags, mate. So I thought
yeah. We knew the top 3 had good bag weights, but there wasn't much between, I think, us and fourth. I think there was only about 200 grams. And so, we thought, well, if we can get closer to that fourth position, a 2-day comp, anything can happen on the second day. You don't, even though the boats above you got good bags, you don't how they went with numbers. They might have only got 5 or 6 good fish, and that was it. But we knew that I think on day one, we probably got 20 or 30 legal bream.
Wow.
We knew the numbers are on our side. It's just a case of trying to repeat day one on day 2. And you cross your fingers that the rest of the field sort of doesn't go well. And
I think one of the things when I look at the results, although you got slightly less than day one, you're pretty close. So being able to just hold your bag weight, I think helped you a lot.
I actually thought our bag weight on day 2 was better than it was on day. Looking at each of the fish.
Yeah, right.
It's just based on length. We thought, probably day 2 would be 3.5, maybe even a touch higher. Didn't work out. But it was
felt
still
better.
Yeah.
All right. Tell us about what did you do? Did you go back to the flats first up again?
Day 2.
Yeah, day 2.
Yeah, well, we went, where we left on as a Bonnet's Bar, I don't even know the name of the bay as, so when we left there, we thought we're going to go back there first and try, and whilst there was fish there, and we'll try and do the same thing because it took us 2 or 3 hours. It was more glassed out on Sunday. We fractionally changed direction, so we weren't in any screaming hurry to go straight back there, we just didn't want to waste another 3 hours. So we went back to where we finished day 2, and with the same game plan was, let's roll through there and see how we go. And the same, we got our bag a hell of a lot quicker. I think potentially an hour, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe a bit under. The only issue then was I think they were 29 tippers, not 27 tippers. So it was sort of, but we still, your mindset changes from when you've got 5 in the well and all that kind of gear. It's then just, okay, no worries, it's working. And then let's just do the same thing, repeat. And I think Az's word on Sunday or Saturday night was sort of patient, mate, because we know they're around that general area. Yes, they're left, they're right, they're shallow, they're deep. We've just got to be patient. It'll happen and wait for them to turn on. And the first hour was great. And then again, it shuts, and then you start, do we move? How far do we go? What do you want to go from here? And sort of, even though you've got the fish, your mind games starts again. So,
yeah, okay.
I think the secret on day 2 was work the spot for a little while, but then rest it up. It's always hard. Like when you've got a nice little honey hole, you just want to fish it on all day, and especially on day 2, you can really thrash it. But we knew that there was a couple of other boats that were in the vicinity as well, and we thought, well, if we move out, that might sort of draw some of the other boats out as well. And unfortunately, it did. And resting that spot for an hour, go back and fish it for an hour, move off it was enough to keep 2 spots, that keep the fish on the chew on 2 spots. I think at one stage there we moved out pretty well, like almost like smack bang in the centre of Bonnells Bay. And Simon had a cracking run, and we thought, it's just too big. It's too big to be a bream. Caught it for a salmon or a king, and ended up being a reddy, and it was a nice reddy. It was like ump on it, probably 2 kilos.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, on any other day on a social fish, that'd be the catch of the day. But in a bream comp, it's not photo and then keep casting again.
Yeah, that's a shame. On another day, it might have gone home.
Well, especially after the boys prior had a 46 tipper bream, I kept visioning it being the same thing.
Oh, exactly. Well, it can happen, particularly up there.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Okay, so if you start off in shallow, how did it run there? Did you get them mostly on cranks, or did you get them on plastics? Or
yeah, on cranks on day 2.
Okay.
Yeah. We got more fish on day 1 on cranks than plastics. Well, we did get them on both, but by comparison, hard bodies was working better, and so we pretty well stuck with that on day 2 and just moved around a few spots. Like Simon said, anywhere between probably 7 foot up to about 15 foot of water they were producing, even though the hard bodies weren't ripping right down to the bottom in 15 foot. The fish were feeding pretty aggressively and coming up and hitting it pretty hard. So.
And over there, was there any weed structure on the bottom?
Yeah, there was. I mean, our boats don't have live scoping and all of that, so we want to run a pretty basic system of sounders, some trusty Lowrance HTSs.
Yep.
Yeah, so there was a bit of structure on the bottom. Certainly, we weren't targeting it, but there was a bit around.
Yeah, but if you go to an area and you see, okay, there's some cockle wheel or something like that, you go, at least they've got something to hide in.
Turn around on,
Yeah.
That is cool. Okay, so with your hard bodies, did you find, particularly on the Sunday, was it more like a chubby style bite, or were they taking things like diver spikes or
more the chubby styles? Yeah.
Yeah.
We had, I think I threw a few dunks out up there at one stage, but chubbies were working better. But I don't think that it was so much the lure. I think there was a little bit more in the presentation and the retrieve.
Sure.
Day 1 seemed like the 4 pound leader made a really big difference, even between a 6 pound and a 4 pound.
Okay.
I think my rods were rigged up with 4s. Simon's were rigged up as soon as we changed his from 6 to 4. Made a massive difference, which you wouldn't think that it would, but it did. I think that was really, really key. I don't think we got busted off. I know I cast a few lures off, but it certainly didn't get busted off on all 4.
You donated a few suspending ones, mate, whether they were Bream or Taylor or something, but they were interesting.
Just gone.
And that was where we sort of, again, as I was saying then, that the 4 pound, but the suspending lure with the paws was massive as well. We found that if you could get in that strike zone and just really slow it down, that we thought we cracked the pattern, but when you go back through your tackle box and work out there's not that many in there.
Yeah, right.
That's a bit annoying.
Absolutely. All right. And in terms of upgrading, you started off with, say, 29s, so maybe 400 grams or 2 kilos. Where'd you get your upgrades? Like, do you get a couple of kilo fish, or?
I think the biggest one that we had each day was about that 39 to 40 centimetre tip, so not quite a kilo.
Yeah.
Still a nice fish to anchor the bag. I think late on the second day, I upgraded a 31 tipper to a 37 tipper, so that was probably the fish that made the difference between finishing in 3rd position and finishing in probably 4th or even 5th position. So there was a few upgrades that came late both days that definitely helped the bag weight.
Yeah, okay.
And the other part about it is like the fish were constantly rolling through, and when you're constantly catching fish, you fish with comfort, you cast, you relax your shoulders, you don't have doubt, you're not looking over your shoulder to see where should we go next, what should we do, should we change plans up? Well, why move if you're catching fish? And that worked.
Yeah, okay. If you guys had to do it again, would you change it up a bit? Would you maybe not go to the flats first thing on Saturday?
I reckon I'd still go to the flats, Simon.
Yeah, I don't know, mate. I mean, the pre-fish was so completely different than the comp day, I suppose. So, mate, we were on that pre-fish for half an hour on that pre-fish, and there was 4 bream that came in. One was quite a good one, and we thought we're leaving that. We would have went maybe 50 metres. I don't even know in the distance of the water we would have travelled, and we thought, well, this is going to be, we'll go get the bag pretty quickly, and then we can go to a few other spots and look for an upgrade. So in our mind, we already had a game plan, went north on the pre-fish, caught fish there. We had a backup there if we needed them. So we had thing ahead. I don't know if you change. I mean, comp day one, I was definitely going the flats whilst there was wind.
Yeah.
And I think it ended up being, and I'm talking to a few boys back at the boat ramp, was that they came back on the flats on Sunday afternoon when the wind got up again. So they were still there, or obviously just shut down whilst the direction or so how strong the wind was, I suppose, made a difference to it in there. So I wouldn't say change it now unless I'd be following the guys that actually got the 5 kilo bag and fishing next to them. I'd be stoked. But
yeah,
no, I think I don't know if they changed too much at all. I think the pre-fish mapped it out.
Yeah, nice. Very good.
It is easier though if you've got 5 in the well, no matter what size they are. If you've got 5 there, you go, okay, right here. What do we do now? Where do you want to go now? It just gives you that little bit more of a comfort. You can be a bit more relaxed. There's nothing worse than sort of scooting around at midday still trying to find that 3rd or 4th fish.
100%. I know that fish, the first fish is always a big icebreaker, and then the 5th fish or 3rd fish, depending on what you're fishing, are very good. All right, is there anything else that we should discuss with regards to the fishing?
No, not really. I mean, the idea just on that chasing the fish is once you've got your 5 in your well, you've got patches of fish. We found patches of fish seem to be similar size. So when we went shallow up, we were getting 27s and 29s. And when we started to drop into pockets, we're getting the odd bigger ones. So once we worked out the bag and what we needed to upgrade in the bag, we weren't wasting our time by going back into spots that seemed to have plenty of fish but smaller numbers.
Yeah.
It was more the idea of we've caught those there, and then we ended up persisting. And as I said, I think it was 20 past 1, and Az put another 37 or 38 tipper into the net. And I thought, well, that's a late upgrade, and we were only there for him. We didn't get a great deal. We knew he would be around. It was just religiously going through the casting process, I suppose. So, yeah, I thought that was knowing what you had to beat, I suppose, in your own well. Huh?
Yeah, 100%. And how good is it when you do get that late upgrade? Like you're near the end of the comp and you bang something good and you get it in the net.
Yeah. I think both Saturday and Sunday we said, right, one more cast here and then we're moving. And that one cast on both days was a good upgrade. So
nice. Well, there's your final result right there.
We were both extremely nervous, mate. We could tell it was a good fish. I didn't want to kill Az. I didn't want to jinx him. I had the net a bit premature in the water, I reckon.
That's a good thing, better than late.
Yeah, so I'm not going to I'll pack the rod up, so they'll chase it around if you need me to, mate. So it was good.
Very good. All right, well, that's a pretty cool story, guys. What did you guys end up getting to take home?
I got the novelty check, which is always the best part. $875.
$875. Okay, so that's pretty tidy. All right, very good. All right, look, last thing before we shoot off, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to or say thank you to?
For me, it was just a cracker weekend. We brought the girls up with us for once. So both Az and I, normally it's us solo, and we sort of talk all day in the boat on the way up, talk all day in the car on the way up, talk all day in the boat fishing and talk all day. And so it was great. We brought the girls up and we had a cracker weekend there, mate. For 2-day comp, we went up Friday and so that sort of made for us. It was just thanks for them we fished all day. We had probably the best of both worlds, mate. So I love that. I love the weekend. I'll do it again this week, obviously weather dependent this week.
Maybe not this weekend, but yes, I'll take the point.
But yeah, I had a ball, mate. So probably from us, the fan, mate, just to get your home base. I know Conway does it so well when Danny goes with him, mate, because it just gets you in a different mindset, mate. So
very nice. And Aaron?
No, that's it. Yeah, we don't have any sponsors, so we brought the girls along, and I guess they are our best sponsors, right? So.
Well, there you go, mate. Well, I'm sure you're going to give the money to them anyway.
Yeah. Gets out on the water again, mate. We'll do
it. Fair enough. All right, guys. Well, look, congratulations on a great result. Great start to the year, and hopefully your season gets better and better from here on in.
Appreciate
it. Thanks, mate.
Thanks, guys. All right, so coming in second place, we have a team dropping their 5 fish on the Saturday for 4.44 kilos, backing it up on the Sunday with 5 fish for 3.08, giving them a total weight of 7.52. And second place, I have Mitch and Matt Simonis. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks, mate.
It is one of my favourite things to see father and son teams out fishing together and as it turns out, working together, but fishing together. Is that something that you guys sort of take a lot of pleasure out of?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, obviously, the kids growing up, there were 2 boys. So Mitchell's the oldest. Got Blake, who's 18. Mitchell's 23. Mitchell fished with me this weekend in this comp. He's doing the New South Wales tournament series with us. So, yeah, as a young boy, took them down to the Peene River a fair bit, catching the mud marlin. Yeah, they enjoyed that, and that sort of got them set up, I guess, and into fishing.
Yeah. And have you guys fished many comps together, or is this, where are we in that sort of story?
Yeah, we started doing it 2023. I think we fished a whole season of the East Coast Bream series. And then I got my own tinny and I started doing them by myself. And then Dad went in them with my little brother Blake, as he mentioned. And then now we're back this year once he's got his skeeter, and we wanted to do a year of going hard. So
very good. So you're going up to a skeeter. That sounds like a pretty nice jump.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's good. I just imported it from America. I probably got it a month ago, I guess, a ZX 150 with a 150 Yamaha high output on the back. It's very good, actually. Very nice, 2021.
Wow. And how are you, like, for me, that would be a challenge to drive. How are you going driving it?
Oh, they're good, actually. Very stable. I had one probably at 2012. I had it for 3 years. Did a bit of fishing. Mitch actually fished a comp down the East Coast, down at St George's Basin in the comp when he's only 13 years old in that skeeter. So the kids weren't that interested then. So I sold it and, yes, got another one. So no, it handles very well, actually. A little bit better than the older ones. Very stable, very predictable. Seem to be a bit heavier. A lot very smooth. Yeah, seem to be very good boat. Still got the top end speed. A lot higher in the sides, in the back. Yeah, they're a lot all over. They're a lot better boat than sort of a 10-year-old skeeter.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. All right. Let's get into pre-fishing. What did you guys do to set up for this comp? Did you get out and have a look around at some point?
yeah, certainly did. We fished. I got to fish 2 days. Dad fished one. We fished together on the first day. All we wanted to do was try and look around, try and find sort of numbers of fish, which we also struggled to do. But yeah, just sort of tried to find the numbers. And then the second day I was lucky enough to go with a mate, Adam Amos. He took me out in his boat and I just asked him didn't want to take spots or anything, obviously, but I just wanted to start to learn the techniques of, obviously someone that's very, very, I guess, good at Lake Macquarie. And that, although we didn't catch many fish, it was very insightful as to how sort of he fishes and what works for him. And yeah, not to say we didn't catch fish. We did get a kegger. He did anyway. And yeah, no, it was interesting to see.
Oh, very good. Yeah. Adam's been on the show a couple of times. He can catch them.
He's a very, very good fisherman.
Oh, very good. But did that sort of set you up for the comp? Did you learn anything that helped comp day?
Yeah, well, it caught Dad his first top water bream on the type of lure we were using. We were using the Force lures and tackle, the bent Ziggy.
Yep.
He caught his first fish on that, and I think it was a kilo fish, the first one he caught. So
right.
Yeah, that was day one. He caught that, but yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let's roll around into that then. In comp day, tell us about your day. How'd you go about putting a couple in the well?
You want to start off, Dad?
Yeah. Weren't sure what we're going to do. Like I said, the pre-fish, we really couldn't find the numbers or the big fish. So, Mitchell likes fishing, structure and edges, and I'm a flats guy and a deep water guy. Sort of made the decision together. We had got a few fish in a bay down the back of the lake, the southern end of the lake, and sort of decided together that let's go down there and see if we can hopefully get a bag of smaller fish. So we'll probably only catch in 27, 28 on that pre-fish, and let's go and give it a go. So we headed down that way first up.
Okay. All right. How long did it take you to put one in the well?
It was actually first cast.
Oh, look out. Was that on the Ziggy?
No, we were using actually I had one of my blades, actually a little 35mm blade that I make. I got the first, actually, I think it might have been the first two casts. I got two fish. I think it was maybe 27, 28s up straight in the well. And the third cast, it got bitten off by a tailor.
Ouch. Okay, so you got two in the well in like the first, let's just say 10 minutes.
Yeah.
All right. And what about you, Mitch? What were you doing? Just cheering him on?
Pretty much, mate. Pretty much. I had the vibe tied on, so obviously they weren't looking for a vibe at that point. But it didn't take much longer again to just keep sort of getting those bag fillers, I suppose you could call them. We got one more 27 fork. I think he got that as well, and then The fourth fish might have been our first over 30, I think. And that was also caught on one of the vibes as well. So
Yeah, nice. And what sort of depth were you fishing? Were you guys in on the edges or you sitting back a bit deeper?
You were sitting roughly 2 metre, 2.3 zone, just off the back of the weeds.
Mm-hmm. And did you find that you were fishing vibes? Were you letting them get all the way to the bottom? Was that the plan? Like hit the bottom and then hop them?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we had both of the 30 mil vibes on, and we used that pretty much all day on the Saturday. Yeah, yes, just throw them out, just a few hops, and the fish would be grabbing them, just sitting on them when they drop. Just I was sucking them down, and just felt weight.
Yeah, right. Okay. So sounds like you started with a bit of a flurry. How about upgrades and stuff? How'd you go about upgrading throughout the day?
it was the same thing. It was pretty consistent. Like so I think our first upgrade might have been, actually our fifth fish I think was the 40 that you caught. I think it was, Dad.
Yeah, first drift still, I think, or the second drift.
Yeah. So we caught a 44 because our fifth fish, and then it was just time to get the under 30s out. And I think the next fish I caught after that might have been a 36 fork. So we did that pretty quickly. And then we upgraded, I think, to a bag full of 30s, all over 30. And then the school fish started coming along, like probably 9 o'clock maybe. We had to start sort of thinking about moving on to something, a different technique maybe, or a different area. Or we were trying to brainstorm actually all morning to what's going to happen when this bite turns off. So, but we did upgrade probably our whole bag in that bay. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And that was pretty much all on your 30 mil vibes that you make up?
Yeah, everything was all day Saturday was, except that obviously we progressed out of that bay, but in that whole bay, it was just those 30 mil vibes, yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about them. Are they a clear plastic or a hard, like a solid colour, or what are they like?
They're a solid lure that I paint. I import them from the US and paint them. So we're using a matte black colour with no eyes, no colour, no eyes. So just a matte black lure. Yeah, you've probably seen him on that. Mitchell's has a YouTube channel that he uploads videos to. So we upload videos through that. You'll see him on the video. But just a black 30 mil vibe, very wide at the top. So it sort of works with a wider vibration than a tighter vibration. Seems to get them interested.
Okay, Mitchell, what's your channel like? Where can people look for it?
It is on all my socials. I've got TikTok and Instagram, and then the link for YouTube's obviously on that too. But it's all at Mitchell's Fishing, so pretty easy to find.
Okay. Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Do you put the hardware on it, like you putting decoys, or what are you running sort of hook wise?
We're using, I don't know, I have to look, but I think I'm using. They might be actually. I got them from fishing from Tackle World actually. I think they are. Yes, I think they are. With split rings as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Size 16, so very small hooks.
A small hook. Okay. And what do you run them on? Are you on straight through or braid leader?
I do braid and 6 pound. Mitchell's keener than.
Braid. I went braid and 4 pound.
Okay. Very good. Very good.
Actually, I was very close to losing one of the fish. It was the only fish that we didn't catch on a cranker vibe. I just tried to switch it up. You just had one of the little cranker vibes, and it scoffed the whole lure down, and I actually had to leave it in the fish. So, yeah.
Ouch. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And the Lake Macquarie bream, I'm not that familiar with them. Do some of those have like big sharp teeth that will bite through a leader or? Yeah.
Yeah, they do. And actually you could see it. We're trying to get it up and they sort of get on their side. I think it was like a 36 or a 37 forker that he hooked, and I'm thinking Mitchell is we're just chewing down on it with his jaw, and I'm thinking, he's just going to scissor it off and 4 pound. And he was going so light, like hardly a bend in the rod, and ended up getting it up in the net and didn't snap off. But we left it in there until we weighed in and got it out. But it was lucky, very, very lucky.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. And then, so you had a good bag to start with. You had a couple of upgrades through the day. Did you lose any? Was there anything that you went, that was the one?
I don't think so, eh?
We didn't. The bite was a good bite. Everything was solid. There was no sort of misses. Got most of the fish. I think we hooked. We would have caught in that bay. We were in the morning, probably till 10:30. Do you think, Mitch? Was it 10:30?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, you've probably seen the video, but I reckon we caught at least 20, 25 fish, maybe more. You have to check, but we seem to be catching fish. Yeah, it was very consistent bite.
Yeah.
I have edited a lot out of the video for like fish that weren't going in the bag because it's just too long otherwise. Like at the moment I've been editing it and I've still got 20 minutes of footage to edit and it's all just top water stuff now, but I've got 20 minutes of just proper footage of catching fish in day one only.
Oh, that's mental.
I still haven't started day two. So it was a lot of footage for, a lot of fish.
Yeah, right. That's awesome. All right. So obviously after you moved out of that bay, you've headed off somewhere else to throw some top water?
Yeah. So I just sort of said, we're thinking we've got to start sort of probably looking to even pre-fish for the next day because we were still so unfamiliar with a lot of the techniques that, especially Dad, that at least I had had a day sort of doing it, but he hadn't. So I wanted to show him sort of what we're looking for on edges. Yeah, what type of, retrieve, what we're sort of trying to do to get those fish. And yeah, we started looking at edges, just sort of making our way back to the boat ramp type thing or back to the weigh-in type thing. And a couple edges, obviously, we found them. And one of them produced a kilo fish. So
wow. So you had a couple of good fish in the bag. You were throwing the Ziggy. What colour were you throwing? I think you were throwing the Ziggy.
Yeah, it was a Ziggy. And we were throwing different colours. I had the prawny colour on and Dad was using the mossy gold colour.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, first time I'd used them, so I'd never used them before. I thought we'll give it a go, and we tried the techniques from obviously fishing with Adam a week prior, so thought we'd give it a go. We had nothing to lose. We had a good bag, so thought we'd give it a go.
Particularly if you can pull up a kilo, it's a pretty good shout.
Oh yeah, it was great. It was unbelievable. It's all visual fishing. It was just it was like on a bit of a beached area, and there was a clump of weed. You see a clump of weed, I just pulled it over the top of the weed, and this thing come out like 3 times grabbing it. And yeah, when it hit, I thought it was gonna brick me, but we dragged it out. Mitchell got on the electric, and we ended up dragging it out and fighting it in the deeper water.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was good.
And this is the first time you've thrown the Ziggy, but have you thrown topwater before, or is it new to you?
We did another comp there last year, which we used topwater. We're using cicadas. The cicada bite was on, and it was another unbelievable day fishing. But I never thrown the Ziggies, but I've used cicadas before, but never the bent minnows. It's a different technique and different action and visual as well. You get to see a lot of fish. You get to see a lot of fish come up to it and follow it before they hit it. It's great fishing. I see how Adam can do it. He fished it for 2 days straight. I think he had 9 rods in his boat, and he had 9 of them. He had 9 different colours on each rod, so he's hooked on it, and I can see why.
Yeah, it's a fun way to fish. And the Ziggies, they tend to raise fish. They're very good at that. And in terms of the bite, were they timid or were they smashing it, or did you have to pause it and let it sit for a while?
I wouldn't say they were going crazy. Like a lot of the fish would follow it out and sort of leave it, but you just had the odd fish that did just want it. And obviously that kilo fish went for it. I think 3 times it went for it. And I actually got good footage of it. I just went through it and it shows a splash on the camera. So it's actually pretty unreal to see, to be honest.
Yeah, cool. All right. And was that the last upgrade for the day?
Yes. Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. So you head back into the weigh-in and you drop 4.44. Where did that have you guys sitting overnight?
I had us in third overnight. Yes.
Okay. Good place to be.
Definitely.
All right. You're heading out Sunday. What's on your mind? Are you going straight back to the bay to try and fill a bag, or are you going to chase big fish on top water?
Yeah, so there was only one way to, because my mate that fished, was my best mate. He's fishing with his son as well. He didn't get a fish on the day. He went north and did his behind. He got 0 fish, the only person that got 0 fish. So we were sort of thinking there's only one way to go. He goes up and we can only go pretty much down. So we worried what to do. We're thinking, yes, do we do top water? We went, stuff it, let's just go back to the bay and we'll have another crack down there and see how we go. I think the guys who came first were down there too. We saw them down there out of the same day, so on the Saturday. So we thought there couldn't be many fish left. Like we were catching that many, but we went down there again and gave it a shot.
Did you start with the vibes or the blades, or what did you start with?
Yeah, I started with the vibe again. I caught most of the fish actually on day 2, but we knew all night we were worried about the weather because it was going to be such a glass out. So we were worried that it was going to slow the bite right down, and to be honest, it did slow the bite right down. We had to really grind for them down in that bay. It was a lot slower. We definitely didn't catch them as quick. We did get like 2 in the first couple casts again, but again, it wasn't massive size. And then it got a lot slower from there, really.
Yeah, right. How long did you persist? Like, were you able to bag out with the vibes, or did you get a few and then move on?
We did bag out with the vibes. But it was, I think we bagged out, we might have got our last fish at around 9 o'clock, I think. I think it took us that long. Just kept scouting the area, kept, casting, kept trying to just move a little bit to the left of where we just were, a little bit to the right, tried to hit spots we hadn't hit. Yeah, we persisted just on the vibes just for that morning, yeah.
Okay. And in that period, was there any period there where you dropped any fish that you think would have mattered?
Yes, we did actually. Most of the bite was a bit harder and sort of just nipping at it. Like I said, Mitchell was on the vibe the whole time, the same as a Saturday. I thought I'd mix it up, try something different. I tried plastics and hard bodies. I see the other fellas there were using hard bodies. Got a few smaller fish on the hard bodies that I was using. I had just tried everything in my box. Tried 1 metre, 1.5s. I didn't have anything like 2 metres. Had like 2.5s. I was bouncing off the bottom. I was trying everything to hopefully land something a little bit different, but I really had no luck. Mitchell caught most of the fish on in that bay on the Saturday. But we're getting a few. We missed a few. I missed definitely 2 or 3 fish on the rubbers. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. You bagged out in there. How did you go about? Because I think you got just over 3 kilos. So it feels like you got a few more decent ones.
Well, the first 5 consisted of a 32 fork and a 34.5 fork, I think it was. So they were our 2 kicker fish in that first lot of fish that we caught. And then I don't know how many times we upgraded. I was still like, we've got to go back through the footage again, but I think we didn't upgrade until we were back on top water again after that. Was that how you remember it, Dad?
Yeah, I think so. I think so the wind came up and we tried a few other spots in that bay on our way out, but had no luck. Same technique, hoping we'll try and like mimic it somewhere else, but fish didn't seem to be there. Went a little bit deeper as well. We thought we might try the 3 to 4 metre areas. We did like 15-minute spot, shots here and there, no luck. Then we went onto the top water. We sort of had a plan from the day before where we got fish. We actually left them. When we got a fish on top water on the Saturday, we'd leave them and leave that run and we'd leave them. And so we had something for the Sunday and we sort of got back onto the top water again.
Okay. And did you get fish instantly or was it a bit of a grind?
I think the banks that were the day before was blowing a southerly. So all the banks we fished were southerly. So the wind was on them and sort of made a bit more cover for the fish. So on the Sunday it was nor'easter. So all those banks were glassed out. So we went to them and it was tough though. The fish were there. You could see them. They'd come out for lure, but they just wouldn't hit it. So we thought we better change it up and go and hit the banks where the wind's hitting. So we ducked across to the other side. I think Mitchell they're on the bite. Like the guys had already gone through there. We've seen the Bream boats are in front of us and they'd already hit those banks, but 200 or 300 metres along. We jumped in behind them and Mitchell was sort of hooking up straight away. And I think we did small upgrades. I think we did like centimetre upgrades. I think Mitchell did 2 or 3, I think.
Yeah, it was constant upgrades. It was like a centimetre every time. And we eventually, I think we had 129 fork left at the end of the day in the bag. Or the rest were 30s, I think. And then that same 32 and that same 34. So
yeah, right. Did you get all your fish on the ziggies?
On the top water, yeah, definitely. So I use the same. I use that same lure all weekend for the top.
Yeah, okay. Very cool. I reckon that covers the fishing pretty well. Is there anything I've missed before we move on? Is there anything else we should discuss?
No, I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, not all I can think of. I think we're good.
Very good. All right. So in terms of prizes, what do you guys get to take home for second place?
We $1,450 cash.
Nice. And who gets that? Father and son team, who gets the cash?
Oh, we split it down the middle.
Ah, very good. All right. Well, look, last thing before we shoot off, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to or say thank you to?
Yeah, 100%. Shout out, thank you to Aaron Tracy with 22 Gremlin, the rods that he makes and has kindly been supporting me with those rods. Definitely massive shout out to Adam Amos, your legend, mate, for showing me your technique and bringing me on that day. It was very insightful. Thanks heaps for that, mate. Also, just massive thanks to Dad, obviously, bringing me out his boat. Yeah, massive thanks to him from me as well.
No worries. Same, mate.
Very good. Very good. All right, guys. Look, it was great to talk to you. It's always one of my favourite things, father and son teams. Congratulations, and hopefully we get to have a chat to you before the end of the season.
Fingers crossed, mate. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Okay, so coming in first place, we have two anglers dropping 5.13 kilos on the Saturday, backing it up on the Sunday with 4.09, giving them a total weight of 9.22, which included a kicker fish of 1.38 kilos. And first place, I have James Dunn and Mark Huisken. Welcome to the show, guys.
How's it going, mate?
G'day.
Well, guys, you guys had an absolutely cracking weekend. I think it's pretty cool when you get to take out the win at Big Bream as well.
Yeah, look, win on the local against a few big players in the game is always good. Yeah, couldn't be happier, really.
Absolutely, yeah.
Mate, absolutely stoked. It was a great few days. Absolutely awesome.
Definitely. I mean, like you said, good to get one on the local. And I think the weather played pretty well for you guys over the weekend, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, it wasn't looking too good at the start of the week. We were a bit worried about, obviously being a pretty small boat and this lake can kick up very quickly when you want to talk 30 knots of southerly. And it wasn't looking too good at all. And I was a little bit concerned of, should we fish close and not waste time on trying to travel? And it ended up being pretty well perfect. It was near a class out for most of it, other than the Sunday afternoon. We ran into a bit of chop, but
okay,
we were flat stick the whole day.
Yeah, right. I know you're not in the biggest boat in the field. Tell us what you're fishing out of.
We are fishing out of a little 4.1 cross country.
Right. Okay.
So I've been enough to grow up with the boat and pretty well take it out of my old man's hands and, yeah, give it a run.
Right. And how big a live well you got in that?
Oh, I don't know, 70, 80 litres.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, that's a small boat, two guys, put another 50 or 60 or 70 litres worth of water in it.
Oh, yeah, 2 batteries, Minn Kota, enough gear to half supply a tackle shop, and yeah.
Yeah, fair enough, but you got it done. All right, let's get into it. In terms of getting ready for this comp, what did you guys do in terms of pre-fishing and, getting set up?
Well, we had pre-fish the week before. We couldn't get out on the Friday. It didn't really matter. It was blowing about 30 knots anyway, but we were working and stuff. So we tried to get out Friday, but it just didn't work out. But the week before, we got out and, we had a bit of a plan about targeting sort of between 1 and 3 meters. Like James is into his deep cranking. We knew that there'd be some surface, we wanted there to be surface fish around. So we sort of approached our pre-fish day targeting those depths and having a crack at the surface as well.
Yeah, okay. In the weeks leading up, how's it been fishing up there?
Well, summer's been pretty quiet, to be honest. Like, usually summers, I dedicate summer to surface bream, and it's been a shocking summer in Lake Macquarie, in my opinion, on surface bream. Like, they'd come up, they'd have one smack at it, and that was it. They'd turn straight off the lure. So I wasn't really confident in surface at all this tournament. And, yeah, usually the other small tournaments I've fished have all been surface this time of year. Like, I wouldn't even worry about throwing a crank. So
yeah,
it was a change up in summer to fish that sort of depth of water, but on our couple of hours pre-fish that we had, we worked it out pretty quick that surface just wasn't going to cut it.
Yeah, okay.
It went back to the other way and it ended up working out for us.
Yeah, very good, very good. Now, Mark, what I want to do is just explain to the listeners who you are in regards to lures and what have you, just so that people can have that in their mind, because I think this is a very cool story coming up.
Well, I work for Samaki. I've known Josh and Kate for many years. So I've been in the industry for a while, started with Berkeley, did some time at Nomad, and then Josh got in contact with me only 6 months ago, or about 6 months ago, and asked me if I wanted to join Samaki, and I was like, hell yeah. So moved across there. So I've had a bit of experience in the Bream scene from many years ago. It's probably 10 years since I fished a tournament back in those Berkeley team series and Berkeley Evinrude. Yeah, the Berkeley of the Bets and the BTS, I think it was called back in the day. Had a bit of a crack there, and then it's just been crickets on the Bream scene. So it was really nice to get back into the scene and see that it's strong as ever, really. Like the field was great. Grant and the team ran a tight ship, and it was just a good vibe all round.
Yeah, very good. Very good. All right. With that in mind, tell us about Comp Day. Tell us about how that started for you guys.
Yeah, it did start. You couldn't get a better start to a comp if you tried. One of my first times seeing this lure other than pre-fish, and we decided to give it a go and go, right, let's see what this thing's got. And first cast, Mark pulls an absolute donkey. I don't weigh fish. I've never really weighed Bream, but this thing was probably on a kilo. First cast, and I've gone, well, that's either going to set the scene of today really good, or it's going to go really bad from here.
Yeah, right.
I hadn't even cast, and you put this fish on the deck. I'm just blown away of the quality of fish that this little lure has brought straight off the bat. And then it kept going from there. It kept getting better.
Yeah, right. And just tell everyone what the lure was.
The little Samaki Reddick.
Samaki Reddick.
Yeah, it's the 40 LC, and we ran through both the medium and the deep version, depending on what depth we were fishing. So the medium versions were Jamie McEwen's done some great things fishing boat holes with this particular lure, which was, a fair bit of inspiration to time went on. But we fished in a different way, like just in the open flat sort of situation. And at pre-fish, it was just a standout. Like, we were cycling through, we had the classic deep, like the deep chubby basically was like the go-to. And James was running that, and I was running everything else, vibes, plastics, trying to find out if we could work something out. And then I saw this thing and I was like, oh, I better tie one of these on. And it got a fish first cast. And then it just became like, just was clear that it was out fishing everything else in the pre-fish. And then day one, it was on the rod, first cast, stonker, and we were on that same drift, and we were talking about building a bag around this kicker, like this kicker fish. Now we've got to build the bag. And then James caught a bigger one at the end of the drift, like the 1.38. So by the end of our first drift, we had two absolute pigs in the well, plus,
I think we had 4 on our first drift.
Yeah.
But in like half an hour of the first day, we had a bag of 4 and 2 absolute kickers in there.
Wow. So you'd be pushing 3 kilos. You'd be more. You'd be 3.5 kilos.
Yeah.
For your 4 fish.
Probably 3 to 3.5 kilo out of 4 fish in the first minutes of fishing this comp. And wow, like, how do we upgrade this now?
This is a good problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a dream start. Yeah.
And tell us about what you're fishing and how you're fishing it. Like, were you twitching? Were you slow, just a slow roll, or pause and stop, roll and stop, or how was it?
Well, it was mainly slow roll, like big cast. There's a bit of breeze around early in the morning, so we were getting good cast and distance, and then wind it down. Had to touch the bottom, basically. Like, that was the key, like digging around in there a bit, and you'd get the little nips, and if they didn't commit, you could pause it, and they just like hammer it. So it was either on the slow roll or on the pause.
Yeah, right. And are you guys straight through guys? Are you a braid leader?
Nah, braid leader this week.
Okay.
Just that cast distance makes a hell of a difference.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And 4 pounds, 6 pound.
I actually run 8 pound Tasline braid. I don't think you really need to go any thinner. I think it costs you more time in wind knots than what it's worth. And I know a lot of boys would disagree with me with that. And then 6 pound leader. So nothing too long on my side. Yeah, I don't really think. Sorry, 4 pound leader it was, not 6. Usually,
Leader.
But yeah, 4 pound leader. That's pretty basic, pretty simple. There's not too much in it.
That is very cool. All right, you've had one drift. Absolutely smashed it. So you guys would be jumping all over that little boat, I'd imagine.
Oh, man. When I seen this thing curve, we went from it's a trevally, it's a salmon, it could be a little Jew. It's plenty of little Jew getting around the lake at the moment. We weren't sure what this thing was. Like, I didn't feel for Bream. I pretty well fluffed Mark off and gone, whatever, you're wasting your time here, mate. I'll catch this out first Bream. And I seen this flash of silver and gone, oh no, it is a Bream. Like, we're on.
Yeah, right.
We've got the kegger we're looking for first cast. Like, this is either going to be our only fish for the day or this is going to be a really good day. And,
wow.
it kept getting better.
Wow. All right. So you finished that first drift. You got 4 fish. Back up and do it again?
Oh, straight up. Yeah.
Right.
Watching the sounder going, right, we're straight back on this. And I think what we found was there was actually a little bit of water because we've had a lot of rain here over the past week. A little bit of fresh water sitting on top of the surface. And we were fishing in between the 2 lines. So we were, pulling our lures through the fresh water and out into the cleaner saltwater, I guess you'd call it. And, it was just getting annihilated.
Yeah, right. Were you seeing the line on your sounder?
No, I was seeing it on the surface.
Okay.
So you could see it on top of the surface of the fresh water, funneling straight out of this little creek down there and then, fishing that.
Yeah, okay. All right.
On the sounder, you were seeing bits of bait and the odd fish on the side scan. I don't have live scope. I'm 22, I can't afford that. A few more comps, we might get it. We'll see how we go.
Yeah.
But, it just shows that you don't need technology for this.
Yeah. Yeah, mate. Well, you guys have smashed it. All right. How'd you go about filling out your bag? You got one to get.
Next drift, I think it was done pretty quick. I don't know about the first day, but the second day we got it in 20 minutes. We had our bag filled in 20 minutes.
Right. Okay.
Same thing, just gone straight back down there and done the same thing and gone, right, sleep, 20 minutes, all done. There was a little bit more. It was probably a quicker drift because there was a little bit more wind on the second day.
Yeah.
We didn't get the keg that we liked the day before on the first cast, but I think we got a couple of nice fish on the first cast. That sort of 40 centimetre tip fish on the first drift. So, we filled it in 20 minutes. We're just going, how good is this? Like,
it was pretty champagne fishing, mate, as they say. Champagne fishing. It was like your best day's bream fishing and just happened to be on a comp. Yeah. So day one, we caught, I don't know how many fish we caught. It'd be 30 plus fish.
30 to 40 bream.
And we just upgraded, so we had 2 hummers and then we were floating around that sort of 34, 35 tip and then we'd get a 39 tip and then we got another chunky 40 plus fish sort of mid-morning or something like that. And then we had 2 35s or something in the well plus 3 pigs and we just kept working. It was a little bit of a lull, sort of lunchtime, wind died away and we started swapping around a few edges. We found one edge that held a lot of flathead, which really seriously depleted our MS40 and DS40s in one drift. I think we lost about 3.
I think we lost 3 lures in one drift.
And all of a sudden we were like, holy crackers, panicking. But then we upgraded. We upgraded everything, and the last upgrade was off a point on the way back in the wind. James got one on surface that got one of our 35s to a 38 or a 39.
37, 38.
Yeah. So it was all day. It was just great fishing.
Yeah.
Plenty of fist pumping going on.
Exactly. And it is cool. Take the small or one of the smallest boats in the fleet and come in on top. I think you were the only guys to crack 5 kilos, which is a great effort, obviously.
Pretty happy.
Yeah.
As I said, I don't weigh bags at all. I said to Grant, this is my second bag I've ever weighed for a bream. We were sort of guessing at that 3.5 to 4 kilos, and then when it came in at 5.1, I think you see on the live screen that my face just dropped. I had no of a 5 kilo bag.
Yeah, that is awesome. All right, you were in first place. What's the process in the nighttime? Do you go home and re-rig everything, or what do you do?
Mate, shout out. We had to restock. So we smoke bombed after our weigh in and everything, and we jumped back in the boat, headed back, and I rang up the local hot tackle. I was like, boys, tell me you've got stock of this, that, and the other, and they were like, come on round, Mark. So we went up there, and we were fully amped, but we were chatting with the boys, and they had stashed everything that we'd spoken about aside. And we got back in the game, basically. I think we had one.
Yeah, we had one left.
Yeah, one left.
Started scratching our heads going, oh, geez, this isn't looking good. This is our lure that we need tomorrow. I was pretty well prepared to drive anywhere to get them. I didn't know where. I wanted them lures the next day. We had to have.
Yeah.
100%.
Headed up to hot tackle, had a yarn with them, got some chicken wings.
Yeah, we can't forget chicken wings to celebrate.
Yeah, very good. Very good.
Very sunburnt, very tired. I didn't retie my leader. I don't know about you.
No, I retied the next day. So, no, I left everything in James's boat, in the rod locker and that. And, we had our brand new lures from hot tackle, and that was it.
That was it. The good thing about those is they're good to go straight out of the box. So there's no new hooks or changes. Just
playing around with them, they're set.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. All right. You're saying you're day 2, you jump back in the boat, race back up there and smashed out a bag.
Smashed out a bag in 20 minutes. Yeah, you couldn't ask for any comp, any day. 5 fish in 20 minutes, you start. Doesn't matter for fun. And we didn't get any big ones, was it?
We got one kicker about mid-morning, one that would be close to a kilo or so, which was like another fist-pumping moment. Yeah, it was solid. Then we just upgraded. It was slow patches there, day 2. It was harder. There was less wind, more sun. Day 1 was nice bit of breeze, nothing too crazy, and then cloud cover. And we had a high tide in the mornings.
Yeah, 8 o'clock. 7 maybe? 7, 8 o'clock. Yeah.
And bite windows, that sort of moon phase bite window from 8 till 10 and then 9 till 11 the next day. So we're really focused on getting fish in those periods. And we found that, because it was a high in the mornings, we were fishing a little bit shallower. The fish were up a little bit shallower. So we're running the MS-80, dragging it just sort of off the flat, if you know what I mean, that first sort of drop off. And then as the sort of sun came out, tide receded or the wind dropped or whatever, they would just drop a little bit deeper and we're finding them again in 2 meters, 3 meters, that sort of program. Yeah, and it just, but we were on them basically. So most of the places we looked, they were there. And I think the Reddicks got that minnow profile, it's not like a fat, it just fit the profile really well, basically. There was a lot of little bait swimming around. You could see it dimpling on the surface every once in a while. We focus on those areas as well. See it on the glass out, you could see the bait sort of just being just nervous, not showering or anything, just dimpling like rain on the top, and we'd head over and have a few casts and all that sort of thing, trying to pick them out.
Okay. And I think you said before that you were bumping it into the bottom. So that must have been as you were casting up onto the flats and then trying to get the lure to hit the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we actually fish pretty different because I try and get that lure in the bottom as hard as I can and stir up as much mud as I can. I don't really pause it. I keep it cranking, keep it winding. Unfortunately, I've only got a little 1000, so I was fast rolling. There was no slow rolling for me. I was grinding all day with that little 1000. Yeah, I think I might have to look at something new. As I said, I usually fish surface, so the 1000 is perfect. But for this, your hands get sore after doing it for 2 days.
Yeah, right. But happy hands.
Yeah, happy hands, but sore hands.
Very good. And what I was going to ask is, okay, if there's a listener out there that's listening that is a new to fishing, new to throwing these, what advice have you got for someone? They go to the shop, they pick up a MS or a DS. What do you reckon?
Well, I like something that looks natural. Match the hutch. There's always any sort of fishing. Match it. I'm not really a fan of super odd colours.
Mm-hmm.
Standout was definitely one that looked exactly like a little hardy head or white bait.
Yeah, okay.
I ended up on the second day, I think I retied a few different colours and Mark was just absolutely cleaning up on this one colour.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'd certainly look at your colours and go fishing. If you can go fishing after work, go fishing. Go do it. Go put the boat in. Go walk the bank. You're not going to catch them on the couch. You're not going to catch them sitting there going, oh, I should have gone. Just go. Just blow them. Just
Yeah. And Lake Macquarie, I think you got a lot of like there's a lot of, like it's a massive lake. There's a lot of bank. There's a lot of places you can walk the bank and have a cast.
Oh, 100%. Like, we're pretty lucky down here on the southern end that, if it blows northeast, well, you can duck around a point, or any wind you can duck around, and takes you 5 minutes to drive there, and you can go fishing and be in equally as good as fishing as the other side.
Yeah, very good. Very good. All right. Is there anything else that we should cover with regards to the fishing? Did you drop any fish? Like, obviously you won, so there's no tears in that regard, but did you drop any kickers?
We dropped one nice one on the first day. It could have been an upgrade, but it was, you had to lose a fish, and to only lose one fish out of 40 plus we caught.
It was pretty much
we were pretty
perfect.
happy with it. So
it would have been like an upgrade by 1 centimetre. We were like, oh, is that and then it spat the hook. We were like, oh, that's odd. That hasn't happened at all in the last few days. It was pretty much dream few days, no doubt.
Yeah, okay. Like, are you guys on Samaki rods?
I am. So I was running my main outfit was like a Zing Extreme rod, but it's like a 7'6" SXL, I believe, but it's got like a super light tip, which I found been really good, like good distance, but also it's almost like having a bit of, like the fluorocarbon thing happening, because it's like as they're nipping away at it, the tip's so forgiving that it's not spiking them, like giving them a little bit of a hook point or anything. It was they just suck it, and the tip would fold away, and then it was on. So I found that one to be really useful, and that was my main outfit running. I don't use poundage anymore. Now that I've started with X-Braid, it's all 0.6. Like it's PE 0.6. I think it's about 15 pound, but it's PE 0.6. Super thin, beautiful line. And I ran 6 pound, but it's also X-Braid or Tollus, and I think it's, like a straight breaking, it's like very slim for a 6 pound.
Yeah.
Yeah, on a 2000 size reel, Daiwa.
Yep, nice. And James, what are you running, mate?
I've got a 7.5 Daiwa Infeed EX. I think on my third one, I've snapped 2 of them. One was a dodgy marketplace buy, but the other one snapped my rod locker, unfortunately. But yeah, absolutely, I love that rod. It's so good for everything. And yeah, I've run that on a little 1000 exist. So
okay. I was wondering what your 1000 was. They were hard to get there for a little while.
Very hard to get.
Yeah. All right. So one more thing. When you got back to the weigh-in on day 2 and you were looking around, how was the weigh-in for you guys? Were you going, I think we've got it, we haven't got it? What was on your mind?
I knew we had a big bag. But as I said, I've never really weighed me fish. I've always gone off fork and tip measurements. So seeing a couple of bags go up there, I sort of wasn't paying attention to what they were weighing. But, you'd see a bag come up and you go, geez, that's a good fish. There's a couple in there that are good. And, yeah, I think we grabbed it out of the well, and I picked it up and I looked at Mark and going, this is a good bag. It's got a bit of weight to it. I wasn't confident, still had no idea what it would have weighed. Still thought 3.5, 4 kilos. No idea what these fish are going to weigh.
Yeah, and you're always nervous on that day too. Like, even though we were strong, I was confident, but you don't know what someone else's, what sort of a day someone else has had. So there was I can't remember the team name, but there was one team that was pretty close to us, and we bumped into them at the tubs, and they just went, mate, we couldn't even get 5. You got no problems from us. And that was when I was like, oh.
Hunts Marine, I think it was.
Yeah, Hunts Marine. Yeah, those boys, they were like, don't worry about us, boys. Like, we struggled today. And then it was like, oh, yeah, we're starting to build. The confidence was building.
I had them on the back of my mind all day. I've only got 500 grams, and I really need to make a kick it today. Need to make it work. And probably saying that too, I think one of the biggest things in fishing for me is being confident. Being sitting down there, you're not second-guessing yourself. You're not driving all over the lake. Being confident and staying there till figuring out what's going to work. But
sure,
we figured that out pretty quick.
Yeah, I was going to say both days you've nailed it. All right. Well, look, and when it all washed up, you dropped the biggest bag again on the Sunday, it looks like. Took out the comp. What did you get to take home?
What did we take home? We took out, first place was $2,600. I was pretty stoked on that.
Yeah.
Biggest bream was $250.
Yeah, $250 voucher at fishing.
Fishing.com. So,
yeah. So James has got that, and I've actually got all the cash in my bank account, James. So we need to split that directly.
That's very, very good. All right. Well, look, last thing before we shoot off, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to or say thank you to?
I'll start off, James. I'll give a shout out to James because it's his boat, his rig, and his enthusiasm that got me. He was looking for a partner and he was talking Bream, and I was like, radio, mate, I'll come and have a fish. Come out of retirement. Just been an absolute cracker. And then the crew, like Grant, Mark and Nathan, like I've been involved in organising and running the comps before, and everyone's just like having a great time and then zooming off home, and you've got all the stuff to do. So they were great, running a good comp. There was heaps of positive feedback about how they do it and what they do. So big thanks to them. Obviously, Samaki for making an awesome lure that absolutely dominated for us on the day. Oh, and a quick shout out to Hot Tackle for stocking us up on those said lures on the Saturday afternoon, a bit later than what they would normally be at work.
Fair enough.
James?
Yeah, I think I've got to give one out to my old boy because really the boat's my old boys. It's not mine. I treat it like it's mine, but it's my old boys. So, and he really did teach me how to bring fish down there back in the day. So, I've really got to say it to him. And pretty well everyone that Mark's gone over, Samaki, Hot Tackle for staying open. Got to give a shout out to Mick from MMD as well. He's helped me over a few tournaments. That little 70mm splash prawn has won me other tournaments in this lake. And it also got us our last upgrade on the first day. So, Mick, who else? Grant for running the comp, mate. Like, unreal comp. Yeah, we can't wait to be back.
For sure.
Very good. Very good. All right, guys, congratulations. Thanks for coming on the show. And, hopefully we do get to have a yak with you in the future.
Yeah.
Thanks, mate. Good on you.
Very good. All right, don't hang up. Okay, so there you have it, everybody. So obviously with this tournament, big thanks to Atomic and Samaki being the round sponsor and taking out the win using Samaki Reddick. So I think that's pretty special. The sponsor karma really coming into play. I think it's a real thing. I did like the way the guys fished. They fished in similar sort of areas and used slightly different techniques. With the rest of the comps coming up for the year, I think you'd be, first of all, crazy not to have a Samaki Reddick in your bag. But also, this is a really good podcast to listen to before you go up to Lake Macquarie and have a bit of a fish. All right, I hope you enjoyed that one. Thanks for listening, and I will catch you next week on the Bream Fishing Project.
Thanks for listening. Hopefully you were informed, inspired and entertained. If you were able to learn something or just enjoyed listening, please consider subscribing and rate us on your favourite podcasting platform.